Hey Bat fans, Luke here, ready to talk another Bat classic, and today we're going to take a look at Batman: The Widening Gyre, which is a sequel to Kevin Smith's book Batman: Cacophony. And Kevin Smith is on his Batman work has a fan base that kind of falls into maybe this guy sounds so simple, but three basic groups of people. Those who really like his bat work, those who are not really a fan of his bad work, and that's kind of putting it politely. And then there's, they're kind of like in the middle, but kind of can float either way. I'm definitely in the middle now that I more reflect on it. Not that it's bad, but there's just some things that he comes in and there's some good aspects of his storytelling, and then there'll be some things that kind of, we'll just say, kind of make you scratch your head a little bit. Cacophony as a whole, I thought was pretty good. Can't remember what I gave as far as a score in my last review, but I walked away with it, and there's a lot when you reflect on it, a lot of good things. The story, obviously, about being with the character Onomatopoeia, this assassin who's sort of on the same level as Batman, as far as that kind of aspect of attributes, and his ability to communicate is kind of unique in that when he talks, quote unquote talks, it's not really words, it's just repeating a last sound he heard. And again, being up to that level of being able to hang toe to toe with Batman really made him a unique character. And the way Cacophony kind of ended, it was that it really did leave the door open for future stories. Kind of really let up the potential of a sequel to be really, really good, because it kind of left on that kind of cliffhanger, in that the Onomatopoeia character clearly had a lot of potential to be used again in other stories, or really to kind of bring the story of Cacophony to a somewhat of a closure, because you kind of didn't get that, and that's okay, because the way it kind of ended, it did really kind of leave readers with the feeling that this has potential to be pretty good. And Widening Gyre is a sequel to Cacophony, albeit you're going to read about 99% of the book before you go, oh yeah, I can definitely see why people say this is a sequel to the Cacophony, because heck, if I was reading again 99% of the book before, you would have really had to sell it to me there, because there's really all signs are pointing to no, it's not. And I really do kind of just put you this way. This book here, it's a 6-issue miniseries with Kevin Smith writing and then Walt Flanagan doing the art. Just to put it in context, so that last page, just black. That page there was kind of like an epilogue. This page there is, okay, without showing the ending yet, that back page is just one of the variant covers by Bill Sinkovich. Two pages, and it's a 2-page splash. So 6-issue mini will round up to say 30 pages per, just to be kind of conservative. So 180 pages. 178 of it, you would not have any idea that this was a sequel to Cacophony. You might argue this could actually be a sequel to Dark Detective. More to get into that in a minute, but it took the last 2 pages, which was a double-page splash, for it to tell you, this definitely continues the Cacophony story, which is kind of interesting because it was a good read. But the thing with this story, there's what I learned more and more, that I kind of, got through school and kind of going to my current profession and whatnot, in terms of weighing and evaluating certain things. You'll hear certain terms of, evaluation criteria, things that kind of you use to kind of the subjects that help you make a decision on, going through one course of action or another. Then you either hear things called weighting criteria, where all those criteria that help you make a decision, some of them might not carry the same amount of weight. Like I say, hey, if you're, issue 1 versus issue 2, what are the things I'm looking for to make a decision which issue is better? You might say the art, the story, the inks, the colors, the cover, and obviously some of those ones, again, some of them are going to count more. Like the story's got to be really good, or the art's going to be good. I think it might be at the bottom. The cover, is not as important. Let's say, the actual story, the art, and kind of taking the concept into this story. There are a lot of good things in this, but there is a few bad. And I almost want to say that the few bad almost outweigh a lot of good that's in this story. And basically what happens in this story is that Batman is running in this character who's calling himself Baphomet. What Baphomet is, he's kind of like this, he's actually over here, he's kind of got like this, I don't even know what to describe it, a cow face, kind of like if you see like a lot of satanic metal bands, I know like one metal band, Behemoth, the lead singer, he's like known for wearing these crazy type masks, whatnot, and so he's basically wearing this mask to, put some fear into the criminals of the underworld, whatnot, and he's coming up and he's almost trying to forge an alliance with Batman. He's actually almost falling around Batman. When Batman gets stuck in a heavy predicament, there's this character Baphomet to kind of save the day, for Batman. And about 80% of this book is kind of like a telling of their relationship as it's kind of going along. Batman kind of hesitant to bring this character in because Batman sees a lot of good potential, and he's, could go toe to toe with Batman. And then some of the things you'll see is, Baphomet coming in, start interacting with some members of the Bat family or, allies. You see Baphomet interact with Tim Drake in this, and you see Baphomet interact with Commissioner Gordon and whatnot. So it's kind of a chronicling of their relationship, and what Kevin Smith does that's pretty cool with this is that Batman begins to kind of have these flashbacks of his, relationship with, like Dick and Tim, as seen through the eyes of what's kind of going on in the current day. So you'll see a current event, and then kind of like they'll have like a flashback of something similar happening, where Batman is, interacting with, Dick or Tim, and kind of being played of what's going on with him and Baphomet at the current time. And you see the relationship kind of mature at the end, and there's some things that Batman it does kind of throw Batman off guard, is that you actually see in some of the pages here, and we'll get to her in a minute if you don't know who she is. But there's some things I do want to kind of show. It throws Batman off a little bit in that, I'll just come out, I'll sit there and find it. But Baphomet is really quick to, as you see here, he is really quick to show off his, his secret identity. And again, that throws Batman off because a lot of people, that their secret identity is kind of important to them, and the way Baphomet just kind of takes it willy-nilly, it's like the alliance isn't officially formed yet, and he's quick to take off his mask and, oh man, it's hot in here type of thing. And kind of opens up himself a little too much too quickly to members of Batman's family included, especially Tim. He really throws him off. So that's their chronicling of their relationship. As you see toward the end, you do see a alliance formed where Baphomet is quasi brought in as a member of the Bat family, which we'll get to the end in a minute. But another thing you see here is a return of one of the beloved Batman love interests, we'll just say. See if I can get to her entrance. It's relatively, I think it was in issue 2, the cliffhanger, if I remember right. There we go. It's Silver St. Cloud. The last time, I gotta sit there and verify, and I should have, the last time we seen her in modern continuity before this was in the story Batman Dark Detective, which I do believe, a matter of fact, I know I did. I did do a review of Dark Detective, so take a look at that. It's a very underestimated, I think, book. The more and more I reflect on that story, it is a really good story, and it's one relationship we saw that began in the trade Batman's Strange Apparitions, and then kind of continued into Dark Detective. This relationship with Silver St. Cloud and Batman, and the way Dark Detective kind of ended is that Silver St. Cloud had this relationship with this politician that kind of drove a wedge between the I'll say burning relationship between Silver St. Cloud and Bruce. But we see in this issue, in this story, that the politician had passed away. If you have not read Dark Detective, the way I forget the character's name, but the Joker did some pretty messed up things to that character, and eventually it passed away. So now Silver St. Cloud is eligible, and she has rekindled her relationship with Bruce. And what you do find out in this story is that, much like we have in current day with Batman being engaged to Selina Kyle, Catwoman, as you'll see as you kind of go through Batman stories, that is not the first time Batman was engaged. He was actually engaged to Silver St. Cloud. If I could just find the page where he proposes to her. Oh, I really got to start marking these things. When you do these videos, sometimes I kind of go ad-lib. I don't really have like a, kind of like a, we'll say a plot, but yes, this is actually, Batman does propose to Silver St. Cloud in this book somewhere, if I can find it. That's them frolicking around the beach. There's some other really good things in this story I can't wait to kind of show, because again, in this story there's a lot of really good, well, you might just have to just take my word for it then. Trust me, yeah, because now we're in the first issue. Yeah, this is actually an instance where Batman does propose to Silver St. Cloud. So at the bare minimum, this is at least the second engagement Batman has had in his stories, which again kind of puts things more into perspective with what's going on in current pages with Catwoman. So it's good to see her come back, and you see a lot of fallout with their engagement, even with, albeit briefly, with Selina Kyle. In this, she does kind of show up. Man, this is really driving me crazy. I did not have that page marked. Oh, there it is. There we go. After he goes up to the JLA watchtower, actually Batman proposing to Silver St. Cloud. And she's brought in, and it's really exciting. A lot of this story does deal with the relationship that Batman has with Silver St. Cloud, and it shows him trying to find that balance with having a normal life versus going out and doing his Batman thing. A lot of things that ruin the Julie Madison character relationship is that whole thing of Bruce being Batman and Julie Madison just being not able to kind of see past that. And initially during Dark Detective, even when Silver St. Cloud realizes that Bruce is Batman, she kind of has that same kind of hesitation here. But a lot of this story is that depth of Batman having a relationship during the day, but he also has that nightlife where he's Batman. Another thing that's good about this story is that Kevin Smith really does flush out a lot of characters in this. I mean, there's a ton of people show up. First off, you're going to open up this story, and you're going to read the first part is this kind of like this Nazi-type character attacking a synagogue. You're like, what the heck are you reading? But then you realize it's a flashback to, again, a lot of this book is flashbacks. And I will give credit, Walt Flanagan does some good art in there and does some really bad art too. But I did like the way he drew Dick Grayson as Robin. Also, again, you get Nightwing. You see Cameo appearances here. This reminded me of if you watched Gotham recently, where Poison Ivy had this plant that basically would cause plants to grow out of people. And I saw this, I was like, oh, that's weird timing. Same type of concept. But you do see cameos here by Poison Ivy. Joker's in here for like just a couple pages. Two-Face, 1 page. Poison Ivy's in toward the very end of the first issue. Killer Croc shows up. Then you have Etrigan the Demon makes an appearance, and he's really whacked out. Who else? Going into issue 2, the cameos compare. I mean, literally, there's a lot of good cameos in this story. That is, who is this? I forget who the heck this was. That was just one of the random gang members. That's right. Kidnapper, to kind of go back to flashback of a story, back in the day with Dick Grayson as Robin with Superman. So again, a lot of the stuff you see, it kind of does reinforce the whole flashback thing. Again, you have Silver St. Cloud, Cornelius Sturkin up there. And I just thought Kevin Smith nailed Cornelius Sturkin in this. Same thing with Walt Flanagan. Did just great job on the art. Who else shows up in here? There's Aquaman. Yeah, Black Spider, which I thought it was kind of weak. Aquaman does show up in here, and he's, I'll be honest, a laughable joke, to be honest. That was one of the bad things, which then goes back to a flashback. There goes some of the bad. Crazy Quilt, he has an appearance in this. Who else? Crazy Quilt. Who else? Also, yeah, Catwoman. I thought there was more. Yeah, Mr. Freeze does show up briefly. Who else? I thought there was more than that. That's Batman taking Silver St. Cloud to the Fortress of Solitude and the JLA Watchtower. Pretty sure there was one more. I thought there was one more cameo appearance. Oh yeah, Deadshot. Deadshot does have an appearance here. So, what you see again is a lot of characters Kevin Smith weaves through this story, and he does it really, really good. It doesn't seem like it's just a cash grab just to have these people show up. There's actually some meaning, albeit probably short, meaning to this. And the plot again is really good. You see things parallel with each other. You see, again, good use of flashbacks, and you see a lot of good character development with relationships with Batman, be it, Batman, Silver St. Cloud, reflections of current-day relationships when he reflects back on the flashbacks with, Nightwing and Robins, both types, Tim and Dick, and how he kind of interacts with, again, the current people. The art, again, I mentioned before, Walt Flanagan does some good, and he does some bad. And I kind of gleams through some of the bad. We'll just start the bad, because I'm going to try to wrap up this video pretty soon. The art the problem I had with the art, definitely Cacophony, is sometimes Walt Flanagan, his dimensions are just off. First off, look at Batman's face. That just looks, the proportionality is just off. Then you see some pictures where, again, his Batman's very good. Then you'll see him like holding the grappling gun, and things are just way off. Again, you got the Kelly Jones ears going. Yeah, it just sometimes his art has a lot left to be desired. You'll see one, I think I kind of breezed through it, Silver St. Cloud in the Batcave. And her face was just, and you see Bruce on the beach. There's the two you'll see coming up here pretty soon. It's just, you just go, what? It was bad. Yeah. See, that's Bruce Wayne. I don't even know what that is. That was just the cringe alert, and there's Silver St. Cloud in that picture right there. It's just bad. But then you see stuff, I guess, with, Crazy Quilt. And I don't think I need to beat the dead horse here. I showed you some pictures. There's a lot to like with Walt Flanagan's art. but there's some bad. It's just some of the things they do. I mean, right there, proportionality, the mouthing, look at it is just off. I don't think I need to go any further than that. Just to go into the ultimate bad. The cliffhanger in this, you do see, in massive spoilers in this. I just gotta show it. Again, the decision is made to bring Baphomet in to a member of the Bat family, and part of the thing that the stick is when Silver St. Cloud and Bruce kind of say, "Hey, let's really show our commitment. Hey, you know, here's my wife, my fiance. Hey, I'm taking you to the Batcave. We're gonna show you around," and you really feel this bond growing when he even shows him, "Hey, I'm Batman. My name is Bruce Wayne." So you see a lot of faith being shown toward Bruce and Silver St. Cloud with the Baphomet character, but we see ultimately in the end this was a ruse. And again, huge spoilers if you don't want to know. Baphomet does turn out to be onomatopoeia, and he actually slits Silver St. Cloud's throat right in front of Bruce in the Batcave. And the story ends. Now, that is a heck of a cliffhanger. And I said there was one ultimate sin in this book, and it's going to really outweigh everything else. This was meant to be, I believe, a 12-issue miniseries. This book, I forget when it was published. It's been quite some time, to say the least. Copyright in this says 2010. So it's been 7 years. The ultimate sin of this is that there is no conclusion to this story. It's been 8 years, and you don't know anything beyond Bruce seeing, obviously, onomatopoeia slit in the throat of Silver St. Cloud. That is a huge cliffhanger. Don't get me wrong. If there was a finality of the story, this would have set up things huge, because that means a whole bunch of things impacting, obviously, onomatopoeia, knowing Batcave, knowing who Batman is, where the Batcave is, and obviously him taking the life of Silver St. Cloud. This is another case of Batman losing a loved one right in front of his eyes, like his parents. Even things like Jason Todd or even Damian, they were killed, but Bruce wasn't like right there. This was Silver St. Cloud murder right in front of him when he really did decide to really let his guard down and bring in the Baphomet character to find out he's onomatopoeia. But never get some kind of closure to that. That is just really bad. That should not have really been made that way. I don't believe that this story was canceled just to cancel. I believe it was kind of not continuing because Kevin Smith and Flanagan, what they were doing with the Comic Book Men, the TV show, but this should have been wrapped up. For them to sit there and do 6 issues like this and not kind of see this through, it's just bad. And this is why I can see why people get really frustrated with Kevin Smith and his Batman stuff anyway. Do something like this and not kind of bring some finality to it is bad. So that said, if you take a lot of good stuff in here. There's a ton of good stuff in here. And even the art is good, save a couple things with Flanagan, that's just typical Flanagan stuff. But just the way this story ended just really crushes it. That's why I can only give this like a 2 at best, a 2 out of 5. Just knowing that in the back end, that cliffhanger, which again, that's the only way is this is a continuation of the Cacophony story. Doesn't wrap up the Cacophony quote-unquote saga, if you will. And the story never gets closed out. It leaves on a cliffhanger that really, call it what it is. I am going to say it's kind of like a slap in the face to the fans. You don't do something like that and not wrap things up. So, although there's a ton of good in this book, just the way that it kind of wrapped up. And some of the quirks with Flanagan, I'd say about 90% of the art in this was good, and then you got 10% that's going to make you just cringe a little bit. Which really only allowed me to give it a 2 out of 5. Sorry to bringing it down a little bit, but it is what it is. So, anyway, if you read this book, hit me up in the comments. Well, let's bat chat about this one, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about if you read this, and I would love to bat chat about it and kind of go from there. I don't know what the next Bat Classic will be. We'll see. Next video probably will be the next installment of Detective, depending on when I get my books. And if it looks like it's going to be late, I'll probably grab a bad trade and read it and reread it and get ready and do a video on that one. So anyway, hit me up in the comments below again, and until next video, take care.